Oh, okay. Now I'm very confused. Have you tasted these already?
I've tasted them, but not side by side.
Oh, okay. Shit. I mean...
Yeah. Hey there, I'm Nath Martin, the Whiskey Scribe.
And I'm Jess. I also like whiskey.
Taste is subjective, whiskey is diverse, and this channel is all about understanding it well enough to enjoy it on your own terms. And so with that in mind, being my Irish Whiskey Month, I've got a couple of Irish whiskies here that I would like us to compare.
Sorry, he said my Irish Whiskey Month, like it's all of the whiskey in Ireland is yours.
Yes.
It's all about you.
It is, it's all mine. So for those who don't know, every single year throughout March, I focus entirely on Irish whiskey. So what I've got here is two Irish whiskies. There's Jameson Black Barrel and Bushmills Black Bush.
Did you put something underneath the glasses?
Nope.
Oh, is that just the glasses?
Yeah.
I can see they say Glencairn.
Yeah, they say Glencairn on the bottom.
I didn't know that.
They're Glencans.
Have they always done that?
They've always done that.
Every tasting we've used these glasses, they said that?
Yeah. It's the light.
Just noticing this.
I think the light is just catching it just right, because if you pick up the glass and look under it, it's only a very light edging.
I clearly do not pay attention enough in this household.
So what I've got here is two Irish whiskies that are reasonably similar and in similar price ranges. I'm not going to say which one's which. I'm not going to tell you too much about the difference between them until after we've tasted them and sort of done a bit of assessment. So for you, it's a proper blind. I've had them before, I just haven't had them side by side. But all you need to know at this point is one is called Jameson's Black Barrel and one is called Bushmills Black Bush. And later I'll tell you the reason for the name.
You don't have to tell me, I already know.
I've
had like 4 hours of sleep, so I mean, I wouldn't be laughing like this anyway if I had the full 8 hours. Just, sorry, it's extra funny now.
Look, I knew you were going to get kicked out of that name, which is why I wanted you in this video.
Jameson's Bushmills. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we taste now? Slange?
Yes, slange.
What do the Irish say when they toast?
I think it's a very similar word, but just pronounced.
Somebody who knows, please tell us.
Yeah.
So we can butcher it. All right. That's quite tasty. It's very clean and mild. Like, I don't know what I'm...
Are you getting much of a grain sort of flavour?
Weirdly, on the very first sip, I got strong grain. Quickly dissipated though.
So there's some sweet notes in here, and I actually think the reason why you got the grain notes
It's because we've been drinking straight sugar prior.
Yeah, exactly. So the sweet notes probably didn't even register on your palate, and then now that it's balanced out, you're getting more of those sweet notes on the stomach.
Yes, yeah, which is probably why it feels like clean and mild, because the contrast from the first sip from having a sugary drink beforehand.
So what sort of sweetness would you say it is? Is it more fruity? Is it...
There is a fruit, like a... Do I dare say stone fruit?
You can say stone fruit. You've never messed up that word.
Was it stone fruit that you said, or they said...
Yeah.
Rock melon stone... I don't know.
I said something tasted like stone fruit, like rock melons.
Oh, that's right.
Because my brain went...
Rock
a stone. Without even thinking about the fact that I called it a melon, a rock melon.
I know, that was really fun to edit. I don't know, the reason I said stone fruit, because there's like there's a sweet fruit flavour, but it's not like an acidic fruit or citrusy fruit. It's, and it's not, I almost said like biscuit because I was thinking like that plain blandness, like not aggressive, but then it's not buttery. So it's like, I want to say stone fruit.
Yeah, there is a faint little bit of almost like a light plummy, like
like very
a yellow plum,
yes.
or white plum or something like that.
Are there such thing as yellow plums? I was going to say like nectarines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Do you get any smoke on this one?
Next to no smoke. It's yeah, I would call this a good beginner whiskey for somebody who is afraid of peat or doesn't like peat and wants to try whiskey and is scared of, being sandblasted with peat on your first one. It's quite nice, very drinkable, very sessionable, which is dangerous with whiskey.
Well, I think sessionable is great for Irish whiskey with St. Patrick's Day coming up.
Yeah, would not. I mean, I like to drink whiskey neat pretty much all the time, even if I try it with a little bit of water. I generally always prefer it neat, but
That's my girl.
do not put water in this because it will just turn into water. Like there will be no whiskey left. So I don't think it would be a good mixer either. Okay. What would you mix it with? It'd just kill all the flavour of the whiskey. You'd get nothing. It'd just be alcohol.
You wouldn't have any. You wouldn't have a lot of standout whiskey flavours coming through in the same way that if you used like a peated whiskey to make a cocktail.
But there are some peated whiskies that, done with the right cocktail recipe, elevate both the cocktail and the whiskey. Whereas I don't know what whiskey this is either. So
I know. I feel like this is a sort of whiskey that works in a cocktail, but where you just want the cocktail to be the cocktail, not have the whiskey
you want the alcohol from the whiskey, and it's just a novelty that it happened to be a whiskey rather than a whiskey cocktail. All right, I couldn't even tell you what it is. I think I know. I want to say, without tasting the other one, I think it's the Jameson. I'm right, aren't I?
Let's taste the other one.
Oh, yay! Because it's so plain, and no offense to Jameson, but they're entry level, good for everybody, have a good time party whiskey, right? I say this, and now I'm worried that I got it wrong, and it's going to be really embarrassing.
Well, I mean, every distillery has an entry level good time party whiskey.
No, yes, but good time entry level like whiskies from different distilleries are vastly different. They don't all taste the same.
No, they don't all taste the same. Yeah.
And Jameson, maybe I'm just calling Jameson a basic bitch.
So whiskey number 2. I suppose if you compare the two of them...
They look very similar. The colour gives nothing away on what could be what.
That's why I had to remember which side I put them on so that we wouldn't mix them up, because they look pretty much the same.
Well, when you had them lined up there, I mean, they're identical, like...
On the nose?
Oh. Yeah, that's Bushmills. Just instantly, there's the level of complexity, and without tasting it, between the two on the nose is this has character. This one does not.
Are you calling it a basic bitch?
I am calling it a basic bitch. No offense to basic bitches. I'm a basic bitch. I no offense. It's just that's what I would go with. Okay. To taste?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Now I'm very confused. Have you tasted these already?
I've tasted them, but not side by side.
Oh, okay. Shit. I mean...
Yeah.
Okay, so...
It's fine.
This one is... the second one is... got a nicer finish. But again, that could be a bit... I could be a bit biased because I foolishly drank a sugary drink right before we started doing this. So my palate is not, it's not the same on this one as it was on the first one. Yeah. Does that make sense?
I have to, having tried these ones separately before, I was kind of surprised after having the first one, because this one had quite a bit more on the nose, as you said, complexity. Yeah. On the palate, still enjoyable. Yeah. But a little bit flatter than the first one, I think.
Smoother finish, much smoother finish. Mm-hmm. It's not, the first one wasn't astringent or anything, but it just compared to each other. Yeah. Much smoother finish. Taste-wise, I got a little more honey.
There's a bit more sweetness on this
one. A little more sweetness. But weirdly, very similar.
They
Flavor profile is very similar, same.
So in terms of the mash bill and the barrels, there are a lot of similarities between these two, which is why I thought it'd be interesting to do them side by side. I'm going to come back to the first one because I honestly expected the first one to be less flavoursome and less complex.
Because it's the Jameson? Yeah, almost nothing. Well, the nose is still really nice.
See, I'm now getting a little bit more caramel on the palate.
Well, on the nose of that, I got a lot more buttery caramel, like sweet, like syrupy sweet. There's definitely more sweet honey nose and taste in the second one.
Yeah.
So if there's a fruit in there, I'm not sure, but it's like, I still get fruit on the first one.
If you just quickly go between the two of them on the nose.
Just watch me glass myself as I try to do this. Yeah, and?
To me, there's almost nothing on the nose of this.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're right. I did think that the second time nosing the first one just before was more biscuity and stuff. So you're right. Maybe it's really, that's unusual.
Okay, so would you like the reveal?
The reveal.
Yes.
Yes.
As to what they are.
Yes.
So the first one, you were right.
I often am.
Jameson Black Barrel. The second one, Bushmills Black Bush. By process of elimination and grow up, Jess. So,
Cool bottle.
first question before I tell you the stats of them.
Sherry cask? What? Anyway,
Well,
continue.
they've both got sherry,
Yeah.
but we'll get into that.
Okay.
Which one do you think is more expensive?
Based on you asking me that question using some deduction skills, I would say the Jameson, because you wouldn't have asked me that otherwise.
Okay.
That's logic.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing it's because anytime anyone says black label, black barrel, black whatever, or, special barrel, that means they want to charge you more for it. So that's why they did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Reasonably, yeah.
I'm such a cynic.
Look, both of these are the first step up from the distillery's entry-level whiskey. So, yeah, like the black is meant to give that impression of prestige without then delving
It's still making it accessible,
Yeah.
because if you have built a huge part of your brand and your success around having successful,
Yeah.
accessible, I've talked about that a lot, whiskies or products.
Because you think of Johnny Walker.
Yeah, exactly.
Entry level is Johnny
Exactly.
Red.
There you go.
The next one up
Yeah.
is black. So your Jameson Black Barrel is produced at Middleton Distillery.
Yeah, I did see that on the bottle. Yep.
It blends pot still whiskey made from malted and unmalted barley with corn whiskey, so it's an Irish blend. However, it's meant to have a higher proportion of malted barley compared to
the corn.
To the original.
Oh, okay.
So the original has a larger proportion of corn grain used.
Oh,
in making the
interesting.
whiskey. So it's meant to be a little bit more premium because they've used a more expensive grain.
Yeah.
That has more flavour.
Less sugars from corn.
Correct.
Yeah.
Triple distilled, Irish.
Yes.
Aged in double charred bourbon barrels for more intense caramel and vanilla, and still some Oloroso sherry casks. So that's why this is called Black Barrel, because they've heavily charred the barrels to get more of the, not so much a smoke flavour,
Yeah.
but more of the caramelization out of the wood.
How much do they charge this?
So this one retails just under $80. So it's still what I would call a bang for buck whiskey.
Okay, yeah, okay. Sorry. You hear Oloroso and you're like, that's when they're like, $150, please.
They don't specify how.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It was in a single Oloroso cask for 30 seconds per bottle.
Well, it's, yeah, that's the thing. When they don't disclose
I know.
much, it could be, like, chances are this has been made from 100 barrels, one of which was an Oloroso sherry cask.
Yeah, exactly. But, it's still, $80 is that's quite reasonable.
Yeah. It's a non-age statement, but it's considered to be made from stock aged up to 12 years. Bottled at 40%, and like I said, retails just under $80. I got this one for the same price as Jameson Original. It does discount quite often.
Yeah.
So I think I picked it up for like $60 or something.
Interesting. Who owns Jameson? Are they part of...
Oh, they're all part of some bigger...
Yeah, I want to know, because that's what I like about the whiskey stuff, is the business side. Pernod Ricard?
Yeah, so Jameson is Pernod Ricard.
That's interesting, because I think... as far as like product design goes for a very well-known whiskey brand, it's pretty good. Like it's I feel like it's not too... this is the whiskey you buy for somebody who probably already drinks Jameson or Johnny Walker or something, and you want to give them something a bit special, but they're like, you know, they're like a friend of a friend. So you're trying to make... the thoughtfulness is going, oh, they like whiskey and they like these ones, so I'll get them something a little extra, but it's not too out of the, you know? So interesting. I think that's a cool...
This is one that I'd have as like a default Irish whiskey on the shelf that you can just drink when you don't want to pay too much attention to it, but you still want something you can enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. Easy to drink. You don't feel like you're like wasting money.
Yeah.
As well.
Because Jameson Original, if I had that, that'd just be for mixing.
Oh,
I probably wouldn't
absolutely.
I don't think I'd even use that in an old fashioned. That would be mixed with ginger.
There's a very funny story about Jameson Original and me and you that you probably don't remember because we weren't dating then. Yeah, so our good friend Mark, well, shouldn't say his last name, bleep that out, knows this story because he was there. We had drunk a bottle, Mark and I, of Jameson at a housewarming party that I was hosting way back in the day, university days. And you were also at a party, a different party, not the same party. Remember? Do you know where this story's going?
I know where this story's going.
Yeah.
You were drunk and telling me to come round.
You don't have to tell the whole story. They don't need to know all the details. They just need to know that Jameson heavily featured in this story. 15 years later.
Married, no kid.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I don't think. Anyway.
The Bushmills Blackbush, though.
Yes.
So produced at Bushmills Distillery, oldest distillery in the world.
I always forget that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I don't know how, because like it's written on every single bottle.
Oh, and their little pot still. That's adorable.
I know, right?
So cute.
So it blends pot still whiskey made from malted barley with corn whiskey. This one's also a high malt mix, but they actually advertise that it's 80% malted barley.
So didn't you say that Jameson's was also?
Jameson's is a high malt mix, but they don't say how much.
How the percentage?
So
okay.
You know, when they say a higher proportion of malted barley on the Jamesons, it could be 80%, but it could also just be like 2% more than original. It's triple distilled, aged in primarily Oloroso sherry casks and a bit of ex-bourbon.
Interesting. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Come back to that in a second.
Okay.
It's non-age statement, bottled at 40%. It retails just under $70. So there's a $10 difference between the two of these. And like I said, I've had both of them individually. I like both of them. I actually recommended this one in my affordable whiskies video at the end of last year as a great affordable bang for buck Irish whiskey. And then somebody commented on that video that they quite like Jameson Black Barrel for exactly the same reason. As a result, I got the Black Barrel in order to try it and do a review on it, which I did. And I like them both individually. I actually thought, having tried them both individually and recollecting back, I thought that I liked the Bushmills Blackbush more. But having them side by side, I think the Black Barrel actually kind of stands out more for me. Which I didn't expect.
I like them both fairly equally. I think that they're so similar that there's not enough difference for me to lean one way or the other. Can we talk about the Oloroso casks on the Bushmills? So a key difference between these two, if we're talking, actually let's talk about that, is that Jameson specified that they have spent some time in Oloroso, whereas Bushmills advertise that they spent primarily, which you would think that's more than the other cask, which was ex-bourbon.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. So that's interesting because there's very little difference in the taste.
I do think that the sweetness that I get on this one is a little bit more on light honey and, as you said, stone fruit, whereas the sweetness I get on this one does lean a little bit.
I said stone fruit on this one, I think.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. I get like fruit and honey sort of sweetness on the Bushmills.
Yeah.
And it leans a little bit more towards caramelized sweetness on this one.
Yeah, which you think comes from the charred extra...
From that charring process. I do also get vanilla on here, which I don't get in here at all. And vanilla is likely to come from the bourbon cask.
Yes, absolutely. I agree on the vanilla. I only really get honey on the Bushmills. Maybe my palate isn't discernible enough to pick up the impact of Oloroso on these. But that's a super interesting comparison pairing to do because... I'd be curious to see if anyone else, like if you had these two side by side, what your take would be on it, because I just don't think there's much. And like, how much is primarily?
Yeah.
You know, and how much is sometime in, like, on the Jameson?
Ultimately, it should just come down to whether or not you like it. I think...
That's not as fun, though. I want the drama.
So I said that the reason for the naming of this one being Black Barrel is because they char the barrels, so they're black.
Yeah, okay, cool. Makes sense. Story. Get it?
Do you want to guess why this one's called Black Bush?
Because it's Bushmills. And
it's gonna be a big letdown for you.
Oh.
It's such a huge anticlimax.
Okay, great.
So Bushmills draws their water
Yes.
from the River Bush, from the Bush River. That's the name of the river.
Cool.
And the label is black. That's it. Somebody had to be aware of the joke, right?
Oh, 100%.
Because no other whiskey in their line draws the name Bush.
What are some of the other ones called?
Bushmills 10-year-old, Bushmills 16-year-old, Bushmills 21-year-old. Like, Bushmills Original. It's the only one that's got like a funny name.
Sorry, I got distracted. The don't drink while you're pregnant thing. This is what it says. There's obviously everyone's seen the universal.
No fat chicks.
You're lucky that predominantly your audience is dudes. Okay. So it says this. Tell me if this doesn't sound like the worst way to word this. It is safest not to drink while pregnant. Like, is that the best way to word that information?
Not at all. No.
It is safest not to drink while pregnant.
How would you word it, though?
Well, I think it's because they recommend, like, they can't tell you not to, like, it's your choice to do whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know where this label would have been made imported for Australia.
Yeah, so this would be a label made specifically for the Australian public.
Yeah.
As is...
We're not that smart. That wording is not going to get the message across.
This one's...
What does that one say?
Made for New Zealand and Australia. It says, alcohol can cause lifelong harm to your baby.
That's way better. That's way better because it's telling you, giving you the information. Again, it probably comes down to the fact that it's a choice, right? You can't outlaw people from drinking while they're pregnant. But yeah, that's why they have to say it in like it's advice. But I think the advice on the Bushmills one is not worded.
It's convoluted.
It's convoluted. It's like almost a double negative. I don't know.
It's like it's said by Yoda.
Yeah.
It's the safest not to drink while pregnant.
Yoda. Okay, so Black Bush, hilarious name for a whiskey.
Yeah, hilarious name. Big letdown on the reason.
Yeah. So you felt like you preferred the Jamesons after tasting them side by side?
Yeah, look, I think I quite like both of these whiskies. Depending on the price, I would, if they're on special, I'd always be happy to grab either of them, depending on which one was cheapest. But I think if I was sitting in someone's house and they had these were the two whiskies they had on the shelf and they offered me a dram.
You wouldn't be offended or a snob about it? Is that what you're saying?
No, I was going to say I actually think I would ask for the Jameson's
Black
Barrel rather than the
Bushmills.
Which is really surprising because in most...
Do you go to people's houses and request the whiskey you want to drink? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying if somebody says, what do you want to drink? I've got this or this.
Okay. Don't invite them to your house.
In the same way that if anyone came around my house, I'd go, what would you want to drink? I've got this.
Yeah, don't come to our house either.
Or come to our house.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you when you're making valuable points.
Well, yeah, because Bushmills is one of my favourite Irish distilleries. It's one of my favourite distilleries.
Yes.
I especially like the 10-year-old is great. I've recently tried the 16 and the 21-year-old.
We're a fan.
Yeah, huge fan. I've always liked Black Bush. My barber has this as one of the dreams that you can choose from when you go in for a haircut. And most of the time I choose the Black Bush because it's just an enjoyable whiskey.
Yeah, I concur. I don't have a preference. I think they taste too alike and they're too close in price point that they're such good value either would make me very happy. I feel like this is a great one to take to like a get-together dinner party or like a small gathering of friends because it's the kind of one that I think lots of people would be happy to try. And, maybe if they enjoy it enough, they'll have more. And you're not going to feel like you're pushing one of your preferred whiskies onto your friends, if that makes sense. Like nice for everybody.
Irish whiskey is usually a lot more approachable than some of your single malts and even some of your bourbons.
Yeah.
So I feel like if anybody says they don't mind whiskey now and then, they're not going to be offended if you give them Bushmills or Jamesons. Like they're not. It's not like giving somebody an Ardbeg who said, I tried a whiskey once and I liked it.
Because they're also 40% ABV, right? So that's the other thing as well. It's not, you're not taking some insane 50, 60 cask strength where you're going to, a few drams is going to actually ruin you. I mean, you could drink this and it will absolutely ruin you if you drank enough of it. But I think it's a good social one.
For 40% though, they're both surprisingly oily whiskies.
Yeah.
Like, just in terms of...
the legs on the glass and stuff. Yeah,
because
finishes. Actually, I have to say, the finish on both of them, very smooth. Like, not smooth in the mouthfeel, smooth in the sense that the dissipation of all the flavour notes is very nice. It's very gentle.
Yeah, they've got more like a medium finish.
Yeah, you're being, like, gently cradled out of your drinking experience as opposed to being slapped around with a slab of peat, which is what I feel about some Scotch whiskey.
Yeah, but then also, like, I often find when it comes to blends, because both of these are blends,
True.
but they're considered slightly more premium blends because they've got more malted barley.
Yes, and people have all sorts of opinions about blended whiskey.
Yes, and I try not to be derogative or judgmental, but
Such a judgy bitch.
most of the time when I drink a blended whiskey, or at least an entry-level one, it tastes watered down. Because I'm used to drinking single malt. Single malt has a lot more of like an oily sort of texture and mouthfeel going on.
Complexities, yeah.
And because these ones have got more malted barley than a traditional Irish blend, they've got that oil that you can literally see in the glass. And that's what results in the flavours lingering around on the palate for a little bit longer. So sometimes whiskies have, like, their entry level and their supposed next step up, and it's like barely. Whereas these ones are actually a step up. On both Jameson Original and the Bushmills Original, they are a step up. So after all that discussion, what it really comes down to is both really enjoyable whiskies, but for me, my preference is actually Jameson. Do you have a preference?
I honestly don't, and I've continued throughout the last bit of this video. I've continued to drink the Jameson, and that's purely because it's the glass closest to me.
So yeah, I suppose the Jameson's a good buy. Bushmills is also a good buy.
If they go on special around the same price where you are, that's also fantastic.
They can both get discounted.
No regrets. No regrets. I mean, you might regret, and don't come for us if you do.
Yeah. But yes, with it coming up, happy St. Patrick's Day. Enjoy whatever Irish whiskey you get for then. Enjoy what's in your glass. And such.
Yeah, very tasty. Very tasty. Honestly, doesn't really give me whiskey vibes.
No, it's funny.
It's Irish whiskies, because Irish is definitely, like you said, way more subtle, approachable.
Yeah.
It's hot as balls.
Yeah. Let's get that main aircon back on.